I spent way too much money on Blu-rays this month. Let's talk about them. What's up, everyone? Red Eye Reviews here with another episode of Physical Therapy. This time I am going through all the 4K, Blu-ray, and DVD pickups I picked up in the month of May. I went to Amoeba Hollywood also at the end of the month, so I got quite the hefty little haul there. I'll show off near the end of the video. I also got a couple of out-of-print horror films, one from the 70s on Blu-ray and one from the 90s on DVD. They're hidden gems, if you ask me, and they're worth sticking around to the end of the video for, so make sure you check those out. So without further ado, let's just get into it, shall we? So the first film I picked up in the month of May is Hellraiser on 4K from Arrow. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Hellraiser, 4K, what the hell? Well, Hellraiser was released on 4K Blu-ray along with Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, and then the first 4 Hellraiser films were released as a box set on 4K called the Quartet of Torment, and that's a name I can never remember. Hellraiser on 4K looks amazing. This blows the original Arrow Blu-ray out of the water, in my opinion. This is the definitive way to watch this film. This is one of my favorite horror films, let alone films of all times. So I highly recommend this. I know you'll have to probably import this or get it from eBay, which is what I did. But if you like the first 4 Hellraiser films, yeah, pick up that box set. But if you're really into the first 2 like I am, go this route. This is highly recommended. Arrow did a really nice job with this one. Highly recommended. Next up is a film that recently went out of print, at least as far as I can tell, and it's something I've always kind of been wanting to check out throughout my life, and that is Soldier on Blu-ray, starring Kurt Russell, and directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, who directed films like the Resident Evil franchise and Event Horizon. So Soldier is interesting because it's something I've never seen growing up, but I was aware of. I knew it was like cheesy fun, a little schlocky maybe with Kurt Russell. I hear he's not a huge fan of this film. So Soldier, it appears, seems to be a victim of the Warner Brothers out-of-print wave that seems to be going on, where a lot of the older 80s and 90s action movies, mostly action movies it seems to be, from Warner Brothers on Blu-ray are going out of print and are getting harder and harder to find. That could just be scarcity from Warner Brothers' part, I don't know. Demand, I don't know. It's really hard to pinpoint this because a lot of titles are just disappearing, and so that's kind of what happened with this. Was I saw that this was out of print, and I went through some channels I had and was able to find it for about 10 bucks, and I grabbed it without seeing it because it looked mildly interesting to me. And that's sadly what we have to do as collectors now, is grab things that look mildly interesting, because you never know when they're going to be gone forever or gone for a few months. I'm glad I got this. I can't wait to check it out. I hope it's what I hope it is, which is just a good schlocky Friday night time with some beers and buds and friends. Soldier seems like it'll deliver. Next up, we have a 2-pack of 2 4Ks. One of them is my favorite film so far of 2024, and that is Dune Part I and Part II on 4K. So this is a nice little set. I really waited for this set because I never bought the original 4K or Blu-ray of the first part. So when it came time for Part 2 to come around, I just figured, just wait, they'll eventually release a 2-pack, and that's what they did. They released a 2-pack. And this is something I really wanted, was one nice little perfect thin collection. I know there's a 3rd film later on coming, but who knows when that's coming, what that's going to look like, what physical media will look like then, who knows. So for now, I'm pretty happy with this. Dune Part 2 especially looks and sounds really great on 4K. The one problem I have with this is that they didn't include the bonus features for Dune Part 1. Dune Part 2, however, has the movie and the features on one disc. This just has Dune Part 1 by itself. I forget if there's other little features on there, a couple here or there, but basically what you're getting on the regular Blu-ray or 4K of Dune is not what you're getting on here special feature wise, at least for part 1. So if you're worried about that, maybe you go out and find a different route. But for my bang for my buck, this is the way to own Dune on 4K. Next up, we have one of my favorite 80s comedies of all time, and that is Fletch on Blu-ray from Kino Lorber. Now, Kino Lorber didn't release Fletch and its sequel, Fletch Lives, on 4K, and I know a lot of people took offense to that, got mad. I really don't care. This was about 20 bucks. Right now, it's $12.99 on the Kino sale. I think Amazon is even price matching that. I had to upgrade this, even if it was 20 bucks, even if it was just a Blu-ray from Kino, because the VC1 HD DVD transfer we had of that old Universal Blu-ray that was from like 2011 or something, that was crap. This looks a lot better, much better. I really have to say, 4K or not, I'm happy with this release for now. It's the best way to watch Chevy Chase and Fletch, in my opinion. I checked out the transfer. It gets the stamp of approval.
Oh, come on, guys. It's so simple. Maybe you need a refresher course. Hey! It's all ball bearings nowadays.
I also got to mention that the original Universal Blu-ray did not have a 2.0 track. This one does.
Well, there you have it.
So for my next pick, I'm probably going to get a lot of crap for recommending this, let alone owning this. That is The Force Awakens on 4K. Hear me out. I do not like the sequels, and I won't wax intellectual about that. I really don't care for a lot of the Disney movies. In fact, most of anything Star Wars Disney puts out.
Yes, yes.
This one holds a little bit of a special place in my heart because the hype for this in 2015 was real. It was so real. I was aboard that hype train. I couldn't wait to see what was coming out. Boy, were we in for a train wreck of immense proportions. But anyway, my dad had never seen a Star Wars film in the theaters, let alone seen the fan hype that revolved around him. I decided to take him to this. In fact, I took him to all 3 movies, and we both agreed that the later ones weren't that great, but we both agreed that we had a pretty good time with this one. And honestly, this one, yes, it's probably one of my least favorite Star Wars films, but it's still kind of fun to play in that sandbox. It's cool to see Han, Luke, and Leia, even though it's not the best circumstances. They're not all together, but it's really tough to recommend at the same time. So I got this through Disney Movie Rewards, so I didn't pay anything to get this, but I'm really glad I did because it's a little bit nostalgic for me. Had some good times with my dad. Yeah. Next up, we have a film by Sam Raimi that's not a horror film. It's The Quick and the Dead on 4K. So The Quick and the Dead revolves around a shooting contest in the Old West, and it has a great cast. Plus, it's directed by Sam Raimi, so it's got a lot of cool like Dutch angles and Sam Raimi-isms that you'll spot here and there. But beyond all that, it's also a really great film. For all of you horror heads out there, Sam Raimi's car also makes an appearance in this, the one that you've seen in Evil Dead and Army of Darkness and all that, so keep your eyes peeled for his car in this one. Basically, it's a Western with a Sam Raimi touch, and if you're curious about Sam Raimi's other films, or maybe you just want something a little bit different, I recommend this Western, Quick and the Dead on 4K. Next up, we have an A24 film starring Nicolas Cage that's one of my favorites of last year and a complete mindfuck of a movie, and that is Dream Scenario on Blu-ray. So Dream Scenario was released by Lionsgate on Blu-ray and not 4K. I don't know why, probably because it's an indie title they didn't have a lot of faith in. Who knows? That Blu-ray dipped down to about $7.99 not too long ago. I was glad to pick it up for that price. Basically, the plot revolves around Nicolas Cage, who is a mild-mannered professor leading a normal, boring life, and he finds out one day that people around the world are having dreams of him. People he knows, people he doesn't know, they're all having dreams featuring him, and he's trying to figure out why and deal with that. And that's all I really want to say, because to say any more would ruin a lot of this movie. So, highly recommend this crazy, funky adventure of a film from last year.
It'll be a funky adventure.
Next up, I have a wonderful early 2000s out-of-print Blu-ray from our good friends at Rasputin Music and Movies, and that is Wrong Turn on Blu-ray. So I know this isn't completely out of print, but this edition is, as far as I'm concerned. I know you can still get it on other collections. So that's what I was also curious about, is if you've seen the other Wrong Turn films, comment below which ones I should check out, because I really don't know which ones to check out. I've only seen this one, and I'd like to expand my horizon. This one is a little hidden gem that I know has a pretty big cult following at the same time. I don't remember a whole lot about it other than I really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was at the time. And it wasn't just because it was Elijah Dushku running around in a tank top the whole movie. It was actually something I found interesting. I picked this up mostly because it was out of print, as I said, and it's also a Fox title, and Fox is the other one, along with Warner, that's kind of thing that titles are starting to drop like flies and become unavailable and have this scarcity to them. So again, if you're looking at Fox titles that you kind of like, maybe you should pick it up, even if it's, $5 or $6, because you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. Sunshine is a film like that some have said that is going to go out of print or has gone out of print and is hard to find. So that's one I can recommend from 20th Century Fox. And we all know what happened with 28 Days Later. Yeah, Wrong Turn, I can recommend this. And if you guys can recommend any of the sequels, let me know in the comments below. And now we come to one of my favorite 4Ks of last year and one of my favorite films of the 80s. And that is Roadhouse on 4K from Vinegar Syndrome. Say it with me now.
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse, if you don't know, is about Patrick Swayze, who plays a bouncer, more like the bouncer, who gets hired at this place called the Double Deuce to clean it up. And it seems that when he gets there that it's just the club that's a little ratty. He kicks out some riffraff and, makes it better. But then he finds out that the town needs some cleaning up. And it becomes this Western film where the new guy comes to town and cleans it up and has to deal with the old guy who's got the town in his grasp. Roadhouse is a cult classic for a reason, because it's got this appeal to it. Maybe not to everyone, but if you're a fan of action and even exploitation films and Western films and Patrick Swayze, those are all reasons to check this out.
The name is Doe.
This transfer is amazing. This transfer blows the Shout Factory Blu-ray out of the water, I have to say. Sorry, Shout Factory, but Vinegar Syndrome really knocked it out of the park with this one. The extras, a lot of the extras are still on here, and that's very comforting. I'm really happy to see that the commentary with Kevin Smith is included on this, because that was a major selling point for me, because that commentary is fucking hilarious. Man, what do you say about Roadhouse? You can't say anything else that hasn't been said. This transfer is amazing, worth checking out. Get it where you can. Roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
Next up, we have a little hidden gem of a horror film that a lot of people are now starting to catch on to, myself included. Yes, I can't brag and say I was there from the beginning, but I can definitely say I'm now along for the ride, and that is The Autopsy of Jane Doe. So this is something you might come across on streaming and think that it's very cheesy, and it's got some low production value, some bad acting, predictable plot, blah, blah, blah. But no, it's quite the opposite. The characters, played by Emile Hirsch and Brian Cox, are two leads, and they are father-son duo who work at a mortuary. They guide us through the film, and their performances are very, very believable. Brian Cox is A+ amazing, as always. The production values on this film, for an indie film, not that bad. The atmosphere, cinematography, wow. Really gives you the overall sense of dread in this film. So the plot is that a dead woman's body without a name is called a Jane Doe. So this Jane Doe rolls into the mortuary, and Brian Cox and Emile Hirsch go to work on her like any other corpse, and some things happen. Yeah, I know, very, very great plot synopsis, but trust me, you'll want to check this one out for yourself. So this is available on streaming. My guess is probably Tubi. If not there, somewhere else. It's pretty readily available. The good thing about watching it on physical media, though, is that you don't have any ads throughout the film that distract you and ruin the flow of a movie. Although there are previews in the beginning, but those are usually skippable.
Son of a bitch!
But anyway, highly recommend this hidden gem of a film that I'm thankful that more people are seeing, and I'm thankful I got to see too. Go get it. Next up, I got a box set for you guys, and that is the Fly collection from Shout Factory on Blu-ray. So, just like The Omen that just recently went out of print, this went out of print, or is about to. I don't know exactly what the status is, but I was able to get this off of eBay because I really wanted to check out the original Fly because I've never seen it in its entirety, although I've seen bits and pieces of it growing up. I also wanted a remastered copy of David Cronenberg's The Fly with Jeff Goldblum. The other thing is I wanted to also check out The Fly 2 because I hear that has Eric Stoltz in it, and honestly I've never checked that one out either, and I hear it's pretty wild.
Cheeseburger.
And there's the other films too, which I'm sure I'll also check out, but I really wanted to get this before it wasn't available anymore, and to have a remastered copy of David Cronenberg's The Fly, I'm in. Yeah, there might be a 4K, well, there probably will be a 4K down the road, and I'm sure I'll get that one too. That old Fox Blu-ray of The Fly wasn't cutting it for me, sorry, but that looked like crap. Next up, we have one of my favorite 90s action films of all time, Face Off on 4K from Kino Lorber. I just gotta say, this is a major step up from the Paramount Blu-ray that we had. That crusty Blu-ray that looks like garbage. This is the way to go. Kino knocked it out of the park. And of course, there's always gonna be the detractors who say there's stuff wrong with it. There's some macro blocking or some artifacts, things like that. I didn't see any of that stuff, but you know, I wasn't really paying the greatest of attention. I was enjoying the movie. So if you're gonna watch this on your home theater, get rid of that Blu-ray and get this 4K from Kino right now. It's awesome.
You good looking. You're hot.
So next up, we're gonna discuss my Amoeba Hollywood haul because it's a doozy. I went a little overboard this trip. So yeah, let's just get this first one out of the way because it's a quick one. A Quiet Place on 4K. So I got this from Amoeba for about $8. And for me, it was an upgrade because I already had it on Blu-ray, and you're probably asking, why didn't I get the 2-pack with the sequel? And that's because I really don't like the sequel that much at all. In fact, I don't care about the third one that's coming out either. I really just love this one. I think self-contained as this one is, it works, it's fine. You don't need a sequel. I don't need to know how the bugs got there. For my money, this is where it's at. So I'm glad I got this. $8, Amoeba Hollywood. Next is a little title I saw on my way to the register at Amoeba. I was already walking out with a stack of stuff, and I looked over at this and I groaned because I thought to myself, you know, I really do need to upgrade this, but do I need to spend more money? And the answer was yes. Scream 3 on 4K. So Scream 3 was another big upgrade for me because I had the original Lionsgate Blu-ray, and boy, that looked terrible. This is a huge step up, and I'm glad to finally complete my Scream in 4K collection. So this next one, you're really going to question my sanity for picking up because someone else already did, and that is Sideways on Blu-ray. Now, I love the film Election. It's a 10 out of 10, one of my favorites of all time. So I also realized after watching it recently that I've never seen any of Alexander Payne's other films. So I checked out a few of them, and this is one that kind of clicked with me. But I came across this for $15, sealed, and had to grab it.
What are you doing? I told you I need a drink, so I'm gonna help myself. Okay, pal? What do you think? Let go of the fucking glass, fucker!
You can still get this on DVD. It's also on streaming. I think I caught it on Hulu. Yes, this film revolves around two men going to a winery and being wine snobs, so you don't have to be into wine to enjoy this film. I guess it helps. I'm not into wine, I'm into whiskey. But what I really got out of this film was the characters, the writing, the acting. So those are the things I focused on. Those are the things I loved about this film, and that's why it's on this list, as weird as it may seem. But I still highly recommend Sideways on Blu-ray, or any way that you can get it. Next up, we have a 4K release from Paramount of a classic 90s film, and that is The Crow on 4K. So I won't go on and on about this because you've probably heard in the last couple of weeks how the picture and audio of this are pretty great, and how they are definitely an upgrade over the old Blu-ray.
Upgrade.
So I will just say with this, if you know, you know. It's The Crow. So you probably already know about Brandon Lee's untimely death and how that adds a layer of sadness to this already sad film about lost loves. You probably know about the banging soundtrack that this thing has. You probably know, well, let's just say, if you know, you know. It's The Crow. So here we are, down to the line, folks, the last two titles of the night. I promised you some good stuff, so here we go. Out of print, 70s blaxploitation film on Blu-ray from Kino Lorber, Sugar Hill.
Voodoo is blue. Sugar is sweet. Revenge is sweeter.
I'm passing sentence.
Meet Sugar Hill.
No, please.
Not a place, but a brand new face.
My friends call me Sugar.
The foxiest,
Looking for anything special?
sexiest, deadliest chick in town.
This one has been very hard for me to find. I've been looking up, down, left, right for this everywhere. Flipping through the bins at Amoeba, I came across it randomly. My jaw dropped. This is a fun Saturday night movie, if I say so myself. This is basically coffee meets zombies. It's 70s blaxploitation, but it also adds the horror element to it. So it's basically Sugar is your main character, and she commands a horde of undead zombies. Now, there is a plot. It's basic revenge, but that's not what you're here for. You're here for a good time, and that's what you're going to get with this film, because it is just a good time if you're into horror, if you're into 70s, if you're into blaxploitation. If you love all that, you'll love this. So if you can get your hands on this, highly recommend picking it up. It is damn fun.
The mob has never seen anything like Sugar Hill and her zombie hitmen.
So now we have reached the very last film of the evening, and I will say this one knocked me off of my feet when I saw this at Amoeba. Amoeba Hollywood, you're the best. You always have something interesting for me. So go check out Amoeba Hollywood. What a damn fine store. So I'll just get right to it. Ghost in the Machine on DVD from Anchor Bay. Anchor Bay. Yeah. So Ghost in the Machine is a little piece of 90s horror gem that has always slipped under the radar. I think I saw it a long time ago during a HBO or Showtime free preview back in the 90s, man. Back in the day when they used to do that stuff. This is a schlocky movie, and it's such a product of its time. But I love it. So the basic plot is there's a serial killer going around killing people, and he happens to work at a computer store. And one day, Karen Allen and her son come in looking to buy a new computer, and the owner shows them this program of this address book, and they can put all their address book contacts into a computer and digitize them. So they do, as an example, and then they buy the computer and leave the store. The serial killer, on his way to kill them that night, gets killed himself in a car accident, and somehow he is thrust into the phone lines, therefore then going into the internet, and then he becomes the Ghost in the Machine, and he can kill from technology. Like there's a pretty gruesome microwave kill that's one of my favorites in this film. There's a couple of kills in this one that are very reminiscent of Final Destination's kills, and this came out before it, so ahead of its time in that regard. There is also a whole lot of very cheesy early 90s CGI in this, and to me, that's a lot of this film's charm. There's a scene in the middle somewhere where the son and his friend are at a virtual reality thing, and I'll just.
Fraser, you see that? See what? Looked like there was someone else in there with us. I'm gonna go check it out, okay?
Josh, the fun's hardly even started.
So this is something I've been looking for a long time. Yes, only on DVD, because I believe there are Blu-rays, but I think they're region locked, so unless you're region free, you're out of luck. I don't know the quality of those Blu-rays, so I can't attest to that. Whew, really happy to get this one in the collection, to be honest, and I can't wait to have a few drinks and check it out myself. Yes, if you can get a hold of this, I honestly don't know where, but if you can watch this, you won't be disappointed by the utter 90s cheese you're gonna get. So I don't know where you can watch this, whether it's somewhere on streaming or maybe there's another way on the 7 Seas perhaps, but if you can get a hold of this somehow, definitely check it out. It is a fun time. So this was the crown jewel of my Amoeba Hollywood haul. Even though I went in there looking for Sideways and found a sealed copy, even though I came across A Quiet Place for $8, even though I found Sugar Hill, which I've been looking for about 3 years, this above all was my crown jewel from that Hollywood haul. Thank you, Amoeba Hollywood. You made my dreams come true. So last but definitely not least before I go, I want to give a big shout out to Pam's Coffee of Los Angeles. Pam's Coffee is the coffee shop of director Quentin Tarantino, who bought the Vista Theater and decided to open up a coffee shop right next to it. So Pam's Coffee is where you can get some delicious coffee, and they sell bowls of cereal there for $5 a pop.
No shit.
And yeah, you actually get a bowl of cereal for $5. You can get some pastries there. They also have a little nook where they have a TV with a VCR set up, and you can sit and drink your coffee and watch a movie, watch a TV show. I got a sticker from Pam's Coffee, got a couple stickers, and I also got this really kick-ass mug. I love this mug. Check this out. Look at the back. That's awesome. All their stuff is branded. It's really cool. But we did go on Pam Grier's birthday, so that was pretty damn cool to be there on the day the legend was born. So big shout out one more time to Pam's Coffee of LA. Thank you to all the staff who waited on us there. You were very helpful and kind, and you dealt with us all with grace. Check it out in LA if you are there. Thank you for joining me on one more episode of Physical Therapy. This was a hell of a haul. This was a hell of a month. Next month, I am not going to have this many titles, I can tell you that. Please do take a moment to like and subscribe. I'm going to do more of these videos going forward, of course. We are already on episode 4. Comment below. Please tell me if one of those Wrong Turn sequels are worth a damn, if any of them are worth a damn. Have you seen Ghost in the Machine? Let's please talk about it, because I want to talk to somebody about that movie. Nobody's seen that movie. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. We are on Instagram. Keep your eyes peeled for more videos here, and baby, keep those eyes red. There's a couple of film...
I'm finished.